Hey there, everybody. I'm Claudia Coffey, and I'm taking the Best Bet podcast on the road this summer. I'm right here in the middle of it all, the bourbon capital of the world, Bardstown, Kentucky. So why are we here? Well, June 14th through the 21st, this place becomes the epicenter of the spirits world with National Bourbon Week. So I'm going to take you behind the scenes of it all, the hot events, the community involvement, the rare pours. This is your ultimate insider's guide. Let's go. I'm thrilled to welcome the man that keeps the gears turning here in the Bourbon Capital. He is the executive director of the Bourbon Capital Alliance, and he's the architect behind this massive week of events, Sam Lacy. Well, Sam, we're sitting here in the Brindiamo penthouse, which is gorgeous, and this has really become a centerpiece and a home base for you during National Bourbon Week, and that continues to evolve. How does this become the centerpiece?
Yeah, so I mean, this space we debuted about 3 years ago, actually on National Bourbon Day, and so this space is now home to the Bourbon Capital Guild, which is our bourbon society. We have members in 22 states that travel into Bardstown, here, the bourbon capital of the world, for events, and this is also home to the legendary Kentucky Bourbon Festival. It happens each September, sells out like that, as it should. And so, you know, we're here on the third floor of Spalding Hall, one of our most historic buildings in downtown Bardstown. This building is 200 years old this year. And so as part of National Bourbon Week, on actually National Bourbon Day, June 14, they're going to do some type of bicentennial event out on the Great Lawn right behind me. The Oscar Getz Museum of Bourbon History. There will be bourbon, obviously. There will be cigars, there will be music. So that will be a great way to kind of kick off our third annual National Bourbon Week.
In 3 years, did you ever think National Bourbon Week would go from being this small, one day only local celebration into this global pilgrimage?
Not at all. Not at all, Claudia. And it's really credit where credit is due. It's a credit to our distilleries that see the opportunity to really claim National Bourbon Day and National Bourbon Week for Bardstown. And so from, like you said, a one-day or three-day series of events there for several years, in 2024, we finally took the leap to say, all right, let's take on National Bourbon Week. So that first year, 6 days, last year, 7 days, this year, 8 days. I'm not going to commit to 9 and 10 and 11. I think 8 is perfect. But it's been humbling for us. It's really a community-wide celebration of bourbon, and I appreciate certainly my partner distilleries, but all the businesses and whatnot that really lean in on this week.
When you look at the week, June 14th through the 21st, the schedule's stacked.
Yeah.
Is there an anchor, or maybe even a couple of anchors, that you feel really set the tone for the week?
A couple of things. So, second annual Bourbon Capital Mashup, and I mentioned that's on Friday evening, June 19. I mentioned that because that features all 10 of our partner distilleries. All 10 Bourbon Capital Alliance partner distilleries pouring some of their best product paired with local chefs. So it's the second year we've done that, held at a beautiful event space, Bespoke and Bond, right in downtown Bardstown. That, just the fact that all 10 of our distilleries are under one roof, that's certainly an anchor event to the week. And I would also mention Heaven Hill. What Heaven Hill Bourbon Experience is doing on Sunday, which is National Bourbon Day, tying in Elijah Craig. So it's a ticketed event, but it's a free ticket. And so why that makes sense as an anchor event on National Bourbon Day, you can attribute National Bourbon Day actually to Elijah Craig. So the very first time, the mythology around this, the very first time that Elijah Craig distilled, June 14, 1789. So since that is now June 14 each year is National Bourbon Day. So they're kicking things off with a celebration of all things Elijah Craig.
Your heavy hitters are all back once again this year, but you have some new blood in the mix with Potter Jane, Limestone Branch.
Yep.
What do you expect them to bring to the lineup?
They have brought some really cool things that we've not done previously, and really cool, fresh ideas. So Limestone Branch is doing a brunch on Saturday morning. That has been selling like that. So those tickets will be gone very soon. And then Potter Jane Distilling Company. So in nearby Springfield, Denny and Jane, everyone knows them in the industry. So they're so much fun. They are doing a blending class, actually on 2 days, on Wednesday and Thursday, out at Potter Jane, which will be really cool. Very, only 10 seats available there. The other really cool thing they're doing, which I appreciate much, is a bar crawl called the Big Vat Bar Crawl in downtown Bardstown. So they are starting at Evergreen right downtown with a pour of one of their new products coming out during National Bourbon Week. And then they're going to Scout and Scholar, and they're going to Mr. Tubbs. So there are 25 tickets for that. That is almost sold out now too. And that's just going to be a really, really cool event.
Do you ever offer suggestions to the distilleries about their events and say, hey, we've got enough of these pairings or this special dinner. Why don't you do a hands-on experience? Or do they come up with some out-of-the-box ideas that you're like, I never would have come up with that, but the public and the bourbon lovers are going to love that?
Yeah, I never would have told someone to do a bar crawl, but when they...
But why not?
When they sent that to me, I was like, this is awesome. It fits Denny and Jane to a T. It's going to be so much fun on Saturday of National Bourbon Week. And so, no, I don't give any direction. The one thing I do try to, logistically work on throughout the week is just not have distillery events compete, on a day and time basis. And sometimes it's inevitable, but for the most part, if you want to attend every single distillery event throughout these 8 days, you can do that logistically. And so it's, again, a credit to them that some of our larger distilleries that know that they can sell, they're willing to do things on Monday and Tuesday, harder days to sell, so that those Thursday, Fridays, Saturdays, we can reserve for those distilleries that may just need that small extra push.
You mentioned the rare bottles and the rare access. Bourbon lovers love to make this a sport. Finding the rare bottles,
hunters,
finding the rare pours.
Yeah.
How has access changed this year? How do you make sure that more is available for people that are coming to town?
One of the things we wanted to lean in on this year is special releases. And we know how well that does with Kentucky Bourbon Festival, and certainly didn't rip that from them. But one of the thoughts that I put into my partner distilleries' heads at our postmortem last year was, let's think about National Bourbon Week releases. And so we have several distilleries. I mentioned Potter Jane, their first aged product is coming out during National Bourbon Week. And so Heaven Hill.
I was going to say, they've got some serious bragging rights with National Bourbon Day.
Yeah. And I don't actually know if I'm supposed to say this, but you may see a special release from Heaven Hill that week. I honestly, I don't know what it is, but there may be something on that Sunday. And then, so Preservation Distillery is also on Sunday, National Bourbon Day. They are doing a ticketed event, like a 4-hour kind of show up when you want, leave when you want type deal. 5 activations. If you go through all 5 of these stations, it's music, it's tastings, etc. You get access to a special National Bourbon Week preservation release. And we all know how good that Marcy's juice is out there. So that would be a really cool one on Sunday as well.
It's like a bourbon passport event, if you will. Get all of your events punched and you get access to this special rare bourbon.
Several special releases this year, which is really cool and kind of a natural evolution of National Bourbon Week.
You've got some star power on the schedule during the week, but are there some hidden gems that you think people might overlook that you think you cannot miss this event?
A couple of things. So Old SteelHouse Distillery, historic Deatsville property, 10 minutes outside of Bardstown. They are doing a kind of a wood finishing experience. They have a couple of seatings, and so you're going to be on site at the former T.W. Samuels Distillery, and you're going to get a tour of the historic grounds. You're going to sit down for about a 15-minute class on wood finishing, and then you get to finish your own blueprint batch 2, a 375, with different types of wood to kind of fit your flavor profile and kind of let that age. And so you're leaving there with your own kind of bourbon. And then the other thing I'd mention is Log Still Distillery. So Proofed by the Spring. I believe that's on Tuesday this year. And I think 20 or 30 tickets, so not a whole lot. You're going to be with Wally Dant himself, founder and distiller at Log Still Distillery. They're going to walk you down to the limestone spring that actually feeds Log Still Distillery. And there will be tastings along the way. There will be bites from their incredible chef out there. So that's just going to be a really cool, I think, 2-hour experience out at the
How
beautiful
often do you
campus.
get to go wander down to the creek
Yeah.
with a bourbon founder?
Exactly. You don't.
And speaking of unique attractions, when you think of bourbon, you think of the Yin Yang twins, right?
Yeah, naturally. Who
I can't
doesn't?
believe I'm asking you about the Yin Yang twins.
That's
and
what
National
pops into my
Bourbon.
head anytime you mention bourbon is the Yin Yang twins.
But no, seriously, they're going to be here.
Yeah, they're going to be here on Friday night. Excuse me, on Saturday night
Yeah.
at the AMP at Logstill. Yep.
I mean, I'm not surprised when they came to kind of putting their schedule together. Probably
Yeah.
like, why not?
Well, think about the original concept of the Bourbon Capital mashup. It's like a mashup of musical genres. And now I'm thinking about a different kind of mashup. It's
Yeah.
like bourbon and the Yin Yang twins. I mean, I think that works. If it doesn't work, we're going to make it work.
You know, you make this schedule coming together look so easy, but what are the logistical hurdles to coordinating with 10 world-class distilleries?
I'd love to say it's anything but easy, but it is kind of easy because, again, credit to them that they're willing to kind of space things out throughout the week. And so thinking about some of the kind of the stalwart distilleries, Beam is bringing back, again, the Backyard Luau on Monday, which they brought that was an event they did a long time ago. They brought that back for the first time last year. Fantastic, sold it out, so that's coming back on Monday night. And then like Lux Row, typically on a Wednesday night. And so they've kind of claimed that day during National Bourbon Week. They're going to be Wednesday night with their barbecue dinner out on site at their beautiful campus. And Barton jumped in on Sunday, which is Father's Day. They're doing a Father's Day brunch on Sunday, June 21. That event sold out immediately. 25 tickets, they are all gone. Apologies for that one. So also on Wednesday is Maker's Mark. So if you've not been to Maker's Mark, it is probably the most beautiful distillery campus you will ever see. And so they're doing what they're calling a bourbon soiree. So they're going to have Bill Samuels Jr. The cool thing about Bill Samuels Jr. is his birthday is National Bourbon Day.
How about that?
That's pretty appropriate, right? And Master Distiller Dr. Blake Layfield will be there. So I think they've got 50 or 60 tickets for that event. Beautiful distillery. There will be beautiful pours, beautiful cocktails. You get to hang with Bill Samuels and the Master Distiller. So, I mean, again, it's just 10 to 12 distillery events because a couple distilleries are doing more than one seating. But really, they and we have done a good job kind of coordinating a full comprehensive schedule. So what it allows a consumer to do, the way we market this, is it's an a la carte experience. You know, we're going to show you all of the cool distillery events that you can attend. You get to pick and choose what you want to do, what you want to lean in on. If it's education, if you want access to that special release, you need to go to those specific events.
You have great community support, not only in events that the community groups, restaurants, Evergreen Liquors, other businesses are planning voluntarily, but you also have great community support from your sponsors. Talk a little bit about that and how that allows you to keep building this week to a bigger event year after year.
Absolutely. We could not be where we are without the support, specifically of Busick Construction. And Busick, if you don't know what Busick does, they build distilleries, they build rick houses. They literally, when we talk about building bourbon, they are the ones literally doing it. And so they have been our title sponsor for National Bourbon Day and now National Bourbon Week for several years. So truly appreciate them. Their financial support allows us to market the event more broadly, bring more people here. Those people stay in our hotels, they eat in our restaurants. That economic impact throughout the week is good for everybody here in Bardstown.
And I love that the community is stepping up with unique activities that say maybe you don't want to go to some of the events that are on the schedule. I want to go down along your main street or right around the square and I want to attend something. There's events there.
Yeah. And so Bardstown Main Street does a fantastic job each year. So they claim Saturday. And there are a lot of things that they will do beginning kind of midday on Saturday. I believe there will be some bourbon tastings out on 3rd Street. The 23rd annual, I believe is right, Bourbon City Street Concert will be Saturday evening, and that's a free concert. So people grab a folding chair. They come down to 3rd Street. The city closes the street off, and people enjoy live music until 10, 11 o'clock at night. So it is truly a community-wide celebration of bourbon. The Bourbon Capital Alliance partner distilleries are kind of the core of things, but you have all of these really, really cool ancillary events throughout the week that anything a consumer may desire, it's here for you during National Bourbon Week.
I feel like every corner you turn, there is something going on there, and that's a good thing.
Yep.
If somebody is navigating National Bourbon Week for the very first time, how do you suggest they tackle that 8-day schedule?
NationalBourbonWeek.com.
Okay.
You can see the full schedule there. And again, I would encourage people to lean in on what kind of, what are you trying to learn about bourbon?
What speaks to you?
Yeah, what speaks to you? Are you in for the education? Well, I think the old SteelHouse event would be fantastic for you. Learning about wood finishing, the blending class at Potter Jane. Mm-hmm. Do you want access to a special release? Well, look at Heaven Hill, look at Preservation, etc. And if you're only here for a few days, kind of pick front end of the trip, rear end of the trip. If you want access to all 10 distilleries at once with the master distillers, look at Friday evening for the Bourbon Capital mashup. And so it's really, folks can make National Bourbon Week into whatever they desire. That's the cool thing about it.
Which is the best part about it.
Yeah.
All right, Sam, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Good
Claudia.
to be back.
Always appreciate it.
Love it. Well, Sam has given us the roadmap, but you can't have the world-class bourbon without having world-class food. When we come back, we're diving into the mashup and the man that makes the magic happen. Joining me is the lead coordinator behind one of the week's most anticipated events. Jason James is with Bespoke & Bond, and he's the mastermind behind bringing together 10 world-class distilleries with 10 world-class chefs for the Bourbon Capital mashup. Well, Jason, you're with Bespoke & Bond, and you had the pleasure of hosting the mashup last year. You get to host it again this year. I'm sure a lot of people ask you, what is a mashup? What do you say to them?
The mashup. Well, Sam approached me last year about this concept of the mashup was, let's put everybody in the same room. Let's put all the distilleries in the same room and just get creative with it. A music theme or just food and combination of different distillers and bourbon. And we're just kicking it around and landed on the mashup. And it was great. It was an amazing first time event there. All the distilleries there, the food. You have to experience it.
Yeah.
You just really do.
Were you surprised by how everybody talked about it last year and that you knew this had to be an event that was back on the schedule this year?
I was very surprised. First time events, you're always like, how's this gonna go? A lot of learning there. Mm-hmm. I worked the event personally, shaking hands, drinking bourbon and having some food, and the whole time walking around the room, pats on the back, this was a great event, great first event, you killed it.
Right.
And it really was the distilleries and the food. They put it together beautifully. So
the concept is it's great because you got 10 distilleries with 10 local chefs. How do they even go about even matching the distillers to the chefs? Did they tell you that?
They didn't tell us that.
But they match so well.
It was great. You had some great dessert options, food options. I try to explain it to people after the fact was like, it's like going to really great restaurants and having these appetizers or desserts with a cocktail, but you get to do it in one room, and the value is amazing. So you couldn't visit one restaurant and have the dessert and cocktail for the ticket price of this event, right? And you get 10 of them with culinary experts, bourbon experts, master distillers, people in the industry in general. We don't talk about that much of the experts in the industry that are in the room, which is super cool. Like, where do you get to do that? Walk around with these experts.
And they're all in the same room. And so with an event like this, do people that are attending get to learn quite a bit about what they're pairing, what they're eating, what they're drinking along the way? It feels like there's a huge educational component to this too.
It is. I think the distilleries are really speaking to their brands and how it works with the food, the culinary piece. But you do. It's not just grab a drink, and get out of the room, right? You get time to really conversate, talk about the brand, get to know the distiller, get to know the brand in general, the food. It's not a quick, it's really an immersive experience. It's something you get to take your time, enjoy, and just have a good evening with it.
So is it true they actually will have actual distillery elements like grains and char and corn incorporated into the item that you're trying, that you're tasting?
Some of the culinary folks had those things, right? They were speaking to that, and you're like, wow, it's just like the bourbon. They start talking about it, and you start picking up these flavor notes and things just like the bourbon. It was kind of cool how they did that. And also the displays for the distilleries, like, they didn't come in with a tablecloth and a bottle of bourbon. They really pumped it up. They had great displays. Each table felt like you were at their distillery. It wasn't just a big room of bourbon bottles. Mm-hmm. You really felt you were in the zone speaking to that distiller and tasting that bourbon.
Do you think there's going to be an item that everybody will be talking about this year? One pairing that they're like, you have got to try this. This is the talk of the mashup.
I thought that last year when I was walking around the room and it's like, did you try this? And I'm like, not yet. Where's that at? It was like, well, you have to try this distillery. Yeah. So I don't think there's one. I think all of them are amazing, and you got to try them all. So much so that people were like, I can't try another one. Like there's so much food, so much bourbon that they were just blown away.
So you're saying I shouldn't have dinner that night before I go to this
Do not
event?
have dinner. Trust me, do not have dinner.
What I love about bourbon events, and especially the ones that they plan here in Bardstown, and even if you go to any distillery, yes, you learn a lot. There's education. There's plenty of pours. But there's also some stories being handed around, too. Did you feel that to have, like, these legends in the room? Is everybody sharing stories, and you hear a bit of the myth and the folklore of bourbon just in that room?
You can feel it. Like I said, the distilleries are great, right? But then you have the experts in the room and some of the history there. People just telling the story of the Wally Dant and the property and the experience and the family lineage, and then you hear that conversation, and over here you overhear another conversation of how they experienced something different, and it's just sensory overload, right? For me, especially, it's the first time I've ever hosted an event like that or been involved in something like that, and it's cool. It was really, really cool.
What has this experience been like for you and the team at Bespoke & Bond to be a part of something that is so uniquely special, not only to Bardstown, but to Kentucky, and to be a focal point for the week, that everybody's coming to your space, hanging out there, and that you all are at the center of such a cool culinary event?
It's really, really amazing. Sam, we met a few years ago, and when I come up with the idea to renovate Bespoke & Bond, it's a historic building from the 1900s. We wanted a community space. This was well before the mashup, a community space where people can gather, have a good time, connect, food, music, bourbon, you name it. That's what we wanted to build. And then when Sam approached me with this opportunity, I was like, this is exactly what it was made for. And you can feel it that night. And it's just an amazing opportunity to be there. We're very thankful for that.
What has the experience been like here in Bardstown? Like, what kind of welcoming have you had from the community and just bourbon lovers in general that come throughout the year?
Overwhelmingly receptive, right? I come from Louisville, not far away, but I am an outsider, right? We come in and fully accepted us, my wife and myself. And it's been amazing. The bourbon has been the connecting piece, right? Mm-hmm. It's like the community is great in general, but as soon as you get involved in the bourbon world and you're just having a cocktail or having a neat pour and you start talking, one thing leads to the next and another connection, and then people actually care. And you can sense that here. And I think that's one thing that bourbon does in Bardstown that I don't think you can get in a lot of places. Yeah. It's not just a social drink. It's a community and a connection, connected via that history of bourbon. And
then you realize the eyes of the world are on not only just the love of bourbon, but the love of coming here to enjoy bourbon.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It's the mashup. I can't speak to it directly, but I can tell you there were people in the room from all over. Where at first I thought we'll be very heavy local. Local people come enjoy the event. People from all over the country.
I think anytime, it's one thing to come for the bourbon, but I feel like pairings have gotten so hot with figuring out like what food items go with certain bourbons, because like you said, they're bringing out certain tastes and things that you would have never picked up on before. I love it.
I do love it. And I don't know, but I heard that there's a special little donut shop in town that may be working with some distilleries here this time. We'll see. And if you know, you know, right? So we'll see how that goes.
The menu's not out yet. That's top secret, right?
I don't know the menu. I don't know if anyone knows it yet other than the folks doing it, and maybe they're still dialing that in. And I can tell you, even that night, there were some things that I would have never guessed would be there.
You're spilling the tea today, you know that?
Yeah?
Yeah, you are. You're dropping some hints and some secrets.
Maybe.
Maybe. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Get ready for a Kentucky kind of summer. Not just one destination, but a journey across the entire state. From the heartland of Kentucky to Lake Cumberland to Bourbon Country. Town & Country Ford is powering this summer's Best Bet Road Trip Series. From rural Kentucky to the gates of a brand new distillery or wherever life's adventures may lead you. Well, the food and the distilleries are all set, but now we're going to talk about the changes that are happening in town faster than a rick house in a Kentucky summer. Up next, we're going to talk to Stacey Phelps, and she's going to tell us all about the new Bardstown and the massive growth this town is seeing. You got it like that. To round out our Bardstown deep dive, I'm sitting down with the woman that sees the big picture for the entire region. She is the president of the Bardstown Nelson County Tourism, and she's the person behind the city's national explosion, Stacey Phelps. Well, Stacey, it is so good to see you again.
You too.
I feel like so much has happened since the last year when we sat down and talked about this very topic. The eyes of the world are on Bardstown during National Bourbon Week, and that's grown even since last year. How has that changed the tourism footprint in this town?
You know, every year we try to elevate it a little bit more. Sam has done an amazing job adding new things in, adding new partners. It really has changed even from last year. Our numbers continue to grow. We haven't seen a decline in anything. So we're super excited that we get to have it again this year, and we know it's going to be even bigger and better than last.
You talked about some of those new partners, adding names like Neat, Old SteelHouse, Potter Jane to the mix. How does that continue to expand not only the offerings during the week, but expand the Bardstown brand?
I think, you know, Bardstown is so special and unique because we can offer more one-on-one with the master distillers and the rock stars of bourbon. So I think that definitely kind of elevates us above everybody else. It's not always that you can just walk in a distillery and see a master distiller, you know, walking through, or to go spend an evening in Fred and Freddie No's backyard. And then the more we expand, even better. It's more experiences that we can offer to people, you know, just the stories behind Old SteelHouse. Like, you know, they have such a unique story, being the old T.W. Samuels distillery and how they came about, and you know, how they branded that even with their bottles of bourbon by putting the blueprints that they found there. So I think it's just so neat that you can incorporate so much into those things, and each one has their own story and makes it so much unique to everything else.
You mentioned Old SteelHouse. What a huge project.
Yes.
Not only a great addition to National Bourbon Week, but to the downtown county area as well.
Yes.
What does that mean for the experience, and what do you think it will attract in like future travelers to the region?
Well, you know, one thing, a lot of people come here and our distillery tours, they book up extremely fast, and people come and they don't realize that. But it's so nice to be able to walk downtown. You know, they've just added the barrel thieving inside their tasting room. So if you weren't able to get on a tour and have an experience, you can still have, you know, a really cool experience just in their tasting room. So I think that, you know, elevates us even more. You know, if you can't get in on something, you know, just go to our downtown and, you know, have a tasting at Neat or, you know, some of the other places that we have there.
I feel like that's really the vibe for 2026, the tasting room experience. Just walking around downtown, being able to see Chicken Cock, Liam Ash, Old SteelHouse. It really offers a different level of experience
It does.
for your visitor.
It's all about the experience. That's what everybody, you know, they want to have a unique experience that they can go back and tell their friends that they got to do this or that while they were in Bardstown. So the more experiences that we offer, that helps keep our name out there and bring more people back.
You're very much into giving back to the community. I know a lot with National Bourbon Week, we always stay focused on, oh, we're attracting visitors and your footprint is expanding, but you want to make sure you're balancing community with that as well.
Yes.
How does the success of National Bourbon Week allow you to give even more back to the community and enhance the quality of life here?
And that's our goal. I know with tourism, we do give a lot of money back to various organizations. We have events that we also, give money back. The Bardstown collection is a big thing. All of that money goes back into scholarships for Nelson County residents who want to go into the industry. And we think that, the more we give back, that will keep people here and show them how much we appreciate them, because those are the first people that our visitors see. That kind of starts their whole experience in Bardstown. So it's really important for us to be able to give back to our community.
The Kentucky Bourbon Trail recently launched this app to kind of focus in on kind of mapping your own experience and really appealing to the luxury traveler. How does Bardstown continue to be the place that anyone can travel to? I feel like it's a place for anyone's bourbon, that you attract people from all walks of life here that can feel comfortable.
And I think it all still goes back to the experiences. We can offer so much more here. We have, your big name distilleries. You can meet master distillers here. You can go in rick houses. It's not everywhere that you can walk in and see, the barrels in the rick houses. And, we have more bourbon in our warehouses than we do people. So we definitely live off that. It's a way of life. It's our culture here. And we can just create so many new experiences for people that you can't find somewhere else.
I think a lot has to do too with that charm, the charm of the town and the charm
Southern
of the people.
hospitality. Yeah.
How do you make sure you always maintain that Southern hospitality in the midst of rapid growth?
I think it's just who we are. I bring in a lot of writers and we do a lot of things, and at the end of every tour, they're, you all are so nice here. And it's not, something that we're just doing because, they're here. It's who we are, and it's how we act every day. And, you can walk down the street and someone's smiling at you, or just, asking how your day is, where you're from. I think it's just the little things like that that kind of add to the charm of Bardstown.
You host a lot of national writers. I saw a big write-up, a couple of write-ups in Southern Living.
Yes.
Over the last couple of weeks. What is the thing about Bardstown and the bourbon capital of the world that surprises national writers the most?
I think when they come into our downtown and they see how small we actually are, but we have these big city amenities, like your Heaven Hills, and, I think they're shocked at how small we really are when they get here, but they love it. They love the history. I mean, we have over 300 properties on the National Historic Register just in our downtown. So we're historically preserved. It's just a beautiful small town to visit any time of the year.
National Bourbon Week is a great time, not only to visit the distilleries and the events, but to experience some of the new shops, businesses that are downtown. What are the can't miss places that you recommend every tourist visit?
The Otaba Tavern, of course, is definitely a place to visit. Oldest bourbon bar in the world, oldest stagecoach stop in the United States. A lot of historical figures have visited there. I always tell the story of Jesse James, whose bullet holes are still on the wall. May have drank a little too much. That's, the story behind it.
As everybody does.
Right. When you come here,
Kentucky.
you're definitely going to have a few bourbons, but that's a really cool place to visit. It's so unique. And it was built in 1779. So how often do you get to go and eat in a restaurant with that kind of historical significance?
Yeah. The local community support for these events has grown over the years. Talk a little bit about outside of the official week events, how the community continues to step up and kind of offer these side visits like Evergreen Liquors and the different spots along downtown, how they're offering these little side experience to complement your visit if you're here National Bourbon Week.
And they do that throughout the year. It's not just like you said, it's not just during National Bourbon Week or the Kentucky Bourbon Festival. They all want to make a memorable experience for guests when they come here. So anything extra like that definitely adds to the experience of just coming here. And it's just the little small things like a master distiller being at Evergreen and you get to meet them and have a bottle signed, or just things we take for granted every day because we see it all the time. I think just those little touches definitely sets us apart from everybody else.
The Bourbon Capital mashup has emerged as one of the biggest events to attend.
Yes.
Cannot miss. 10 distilleries, 10 chefs. What is it about that event last year that made you realize, oh wow, this is huge?
It was really exciting walking into the room, and then all the, the master distillers are lined up, and for a guest coming to Bardstown, that's an amazing experience. The food paired, Chef Newman Miller will be there. He's very well known. And then just being able to have a one-on-one conversation with the master distiller. I think it definitely highlights the whole entire night for them to be able to do that.
Since that's become such a hot ticket, what do you recommend for maybe a first-time visitor hoping to attend that? Are there different ways to get tickets for that event and how to navigate it?
Right now, there are still some VIP tickets available. Highly recommend being VIP. You're going to have 3 vintage pours during that time. Still get your tickets at nationalbourbonweek.com, but I definitely, if they're VIP, I highly recommend the VIP. If you're here, experience it.
Does it get so big each week that each year with National Bourbon Week that you think, wait a minute, this may have to be longer than a week?
We have talked about it. I don't know if we can
I don't want to scare everybody.
Yeah, I don't know if we could handle more time. But, if you can't come for the whole entire week, there's definitely things you can come in. If you can only be here for 3 or 4 days, I think that's what makes it so good, is there's something going on every day. So if you can't stay the whole week, you can definitely still experience a lot of different things.
When you look out at the big picture for Bardstown in the future, what makes you the most excited?
I'm just proud of everything we have here, and to know that we have so much support from so many different places. Our distilleries, they're our biggest cheerleaders. They all work so close together. There's really no competition between them. You would think there is, but there's really not. And we just know that we have so much to offer everyone from all around the world, and it's exciting to see that every year we continue to grow. We don't even really have a slow period anymore. We used to have, a slow time of the year, but we don't have that anymore because people just want to come and experience everything we have.
You have something all year round.
All year, yeah.
Stacey, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It is going to be an incredible June right here in the bourbon capital of the world for National Bourbon Week. So if you want the whole list of events, the list of the rare pours, where to go, and of course where to get those tickets, go to nationalbourbonweek.com. I'll see you soon.